Welcome to episode 1 of Exposing Some Chupa Rustam writers. Other than the works of mystery, you will be surprised to know that she has written 6 novels that deal or vividly discusses human relationships, love, the destruction caused by love, mostly tragic and semi-autobiographical in nature. She is none other than the magnanimously well-known crime fiction author, our dearest Agatha Christie. Agatha Mary Clarissa Miller was born on 15th September 1890 in Devon, England. Her mother didn't want her to start reading until she turned 8, and this might be considered as a part or a technique of reverse psychology, because we know or we get to know that Agatha started educating herself. She started reading by the time she turned 5. Despite her mother's repetitive warnings, Agatha went ahead and married a man named Archie Christie in the year 1914, and this marriage turned out to be tragic and an unhappy one, and they eventually got divorced. She had a daughter with this marriage, and there was a time when she was utterly devastated by the news of her mother's death, and to make the situation all the more tragic, her husband came to her and said that he is in love with someone else. He cheated on her with a woman who was 10 years younger to him named Nancy Neal. Agatha wrote short stories. In the very beginning, she used to write short stories, and as a part of a bet, she started writing mystery. The word units, or who has done it. Her elder sister said to Agatha that, you know what, you cannot write mystery. You cannot write a good mystery. And Agatha was like, watch out, little sister, because as a result, Agatha Christie wrote her first novel, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, which got published in the year 1920, and she became the queen of crime fiction. The 6 works that Agatha Christie published apart from mystery was under the name Mary Westmacott, and this remained a secret for almost 20 years, and no one had the slightest idea that this Mary Westmacott is our same Agatha Christie. So the first work that I read from this Mary Westmacott collection is Unfinished Portrait, and this holds the similarity to the life of Christie. The central character or the protagonist of this novel is Celia. She is a little girl when this novel starts, and as readers we get to know how her childhood was shaped. Celia held the ideals of being a good person. She had the morals of being a good person, and it once happened that someone pinned a butterfly to her hat, and she was tormented by this. Do you know why? Because she felt that the butterfly deserved to be in the sky and not to adorn her hat. Celia kept her emotions to herself, not to bother anyone, and the only person who truly understood her was her mother. Now this can be called a Bildungsroman or a coming-of-age narrative, and holds the nature of a semi-autobiographical work at the same time. As Celia grew into an adult, she married a man named Dermot, who cheated on her at the time when she was already devastated with the news of her mother's death. I think you can notice the similarities of Celia's story with the life of Agatha Christie. There are some critical comments given in the book by someone with the initial JL, and it says that why was Celia raised to marry well rather than raising her to be independent? Even though this work was published as early as 1934, the entire issue discussed in this work feels contemporary. Both Celia's husband and her daughter keep calling her silly for the things that make her feel the happiest. And Celia's devotion towards them was to such an extent that she accepted them to be right. She thought that they are right. I might be silly. And accepting such humiliation just because she loved him. The sheer resemblance of this work to the life of Agatha Christie is truly remarkable, and I understand why this was written with a pseudonym, as it explores the vulnerabilities which were so personal to her, the tragedies of her life, and I can only imagine the amount of tenacity and fortitude it must have required for her to get this one published. There's an unsolved mystery attached to the life of Agatha Christie. She went missing in the year 1926, and approximately 20,000 people came forward for the search party. The police were deployed. There were helicopters to aid this search for her. You know, she left 3 letters, one for her husband, who read and destroyed it later before the police could even ask for it. And there was one letter addressed to her brother-in-law, which said that she will be in Yorkshire for holiday for a spa treatment. And the irony of the situation is that this letter was considered to be fake by the police and by everyone. So they fished about everywhere but Yorkshire. What an irony, and how foolish were they? But eventually they got to know that she is in Yorkshire, and she was found. The second book that I read by Mary Westmacott, aka Agatha Christie, is titled A Daughter's a Daughter, and I was much intrigued by this title because I always cherish and appreciate a good parent-child relationship trope, and this book is exactly that. So in this particular work there are 2 characters, a mother-daughter duo named Anne and Sarah Prentice, and the plot of the novel follows in this manner. Anne Prentice lost her husband 16 years ago, and she feels grateful for having found love again in a man named Richard. And Anne Prentice really hopes for her daughter to be happy with this marriage and to accept this marriage. But the tragedy of it all is that she doesn't. Sarah makes the situation so terrible that there's constant bickering in the house, and troubled by all of this, Anne has to choose Sarah over Richard. And after this point, the entire dynamics of Anne and Sarah's relationship takes a drastic turn. And as readers, we get to follow along the journey of Anne and Sarah as they navigate their complexities, the complexities of their relationship, and try to make sense or understand the gravity of their irrevocable bond. But the beauty of it all is that, irrespective of the differences, irrespective of the disagreements, they both are a mother and daughter, and they will always come back to each other. And it is more true in reality than in fiction. Am I right or am I right? So every parent and child holds that kind of relationship, that no matter what differences they have, no matter if they disagree on a lot of things, there is nothing that could separate them. There is nothing that could separate them. Agatha Mary Clarissa Christie was a marvelous woman. She was a marvelous writer, and she overcame such tragedies in life and flourished. It was so inspirational to read about her and to read about her journey, to get to know her even further than the works that she has published, than the mystery novels and crime fiction. She is much more than that. And I really hope that you found this video to be interesting and entertaining at the same time. If you liked watching it, please do give it a thumbs up. If you did not give it a thumbs down, no worries. Just stay happy, stay blessed, and keep reading until we meet next time. Ciao. And please don't forget to comment on how you liked it and the works of Agatha Christie that you have enjoyed reading. I will love to talk to you about all of them. Bye.